Hey guys, my name is David, and you are watching Stories Told. Today, I am going to explain an action, horror, thriller movie called The Hunt. Please be aware, the video contains spoilers. In the group chat, Ted pranks everyone by sending in a turtle humping a boot. They're laughing about it and Athena sends in a text about the upcoming event so-called Hunt. She anticipates it greatly. She also mentions the manor where it's going to take place. The others are saying that they are not supposed to talk about any of this in the chat. The next scene is on a private jet. The stewardess asks Richard about bringing any snacks for him. He acts like a douche, and puts his headphones back on. He then takes it off and she tells her about the delicious caviar they have. He answers that he already had some caviar yesterday and he would like something Mediterranean. Some grilled veggies with grilled fish. She apologizes and explains that they don't have a full kitchen on the plane and offers him champagne instead, which he accepts. She takes out the bottle and he asks whether it is the Heidsick. He tells her that a German submarine sank a ship in 1907, and they found the wreck a couple of years back. They've sent a little robot to bring up the beverage. A bottle costs $250,000, and Athena had bought 3 bottles of it. The stewardess apologizes again and explains to him that it is just normal, not bougie stuff that they serve. She overpours the champagne, because a man just woke up and tumbled in from the back. Everybody freaks out saying that he shouldn't be awake. He's disorientated and tells them that his name is Randy. Ted gets up and says that he is a doctor. He tries to soothe Randy, and tells him to lay down. They spread some towels on the ground and he lays on them. Ted asks for the pen of the stewardess. He tells Randy that he's gonna put him back to sleep, because he woke up before he was supposed to. He stabs Randy in the neck but he doesn't die. He hits Ted on the head with the empty champagne bottle and gets up while blood's squirting out of his neck. A woman wakes up in the back and takes her high heels out. He swings around the bottle, and tries glassing them, but he can't manage to hit anybody. She walks in on the scene and gouges Randy's eye out with the shoe. She orders them to take him back to the rest. He asks for help but everybody back there is unconscious. They wake in the middle of a forest with gags in their mouth. Yoga Pants notices another woman with a gag in her mouth and shouts at her. Crystal is next to a little pond trying to make a homemade compass. She doesn't give a damn about anybody else and walks off. Yoga Pants notices a man walking in the back. She finds herself on an open field with several other fellow sufferers. They find a cache of weapons in the middle of it. Before the guy could open it, Don shouts at him not to do it. He says that it's a trap and they should leave it. He just doesn't care and proceeds with his plan. Everybody else runs off and spectates him from safety. Once he finally gets it open, a little piggy in a dress walks out. He pulls out a weapon rack, stacked to the brim with various killing tools. Everybody who watched from safety runs towards the rack to get themselves armed. On the way, Yoga Pants finds the keys to the gags so they can finally unlock it. Dawn gives her a pistol despite her saying that she cannot use it. A man comes and offers help, showing how to use it. He does a pretty good Cyrus expression about explaining how the safety should always be off. A bullet almost hits Yoga Pants and they run to safety. She isn't so lucky the next time, as she gets shot in the head. They are getting shot at from a hidden bunker on the hill. A woman who was hiding inside the box runs towards the tree line. She successfully avoids getting hit but trips just before getting to safety and cries out for help. Our hero decides to save her and he manages to get to her in one piece, only to find her fallen into a pitfall spike trap. He manages to pull her out but they step on a mine which blows them both into pieces. Another man comes around and he finds her in the pitfall trap, but this time she's missing half of her body. She asks him to end her with a bullet, but he refuses. She grabs his gun, calls him a Discord mod and shoots herself. He manages to flee the scene and bumps into a barbed wire fence. Another survivor arrives and tells him that they need to climb the fence. Yet another 2 arrive and they explain that the situation is really similar to the Manorgate conspiracy theory. 3 of them manage to escape but the elderly guy is hunted down with arrows. They flee to a nearby gas station that is owned by Ma and Pop. They tell them that they are in Arkansas. One of the escapees demands answers from them and asks for the phone. He dials 911 and asks the operator to send immediate help and shouts at him that it is Manorgate. The dispatcher doesn't understand and asks for his address. He tells him that he's from Staten Island, he went to a bar and they drugged and kidnapped him. He asks the other escapees where they're from. The woman's from Wyoming and the other guy is from Orlando. He demands the call to be traced back as he can't give an exact location. The dispatcher is being really fishy but says that help is on the way and hangs up. Wyoming eats a donut in the back. Pop, being a bit concerned about Staten Island's behavior, asks him to put the gun away. He explains that he owns 7 guns and it's his constitutional right to own as many guns as he pleases. Ma becomes real sinister and tells him that the guys chasing them are just exercising the very same right. Before he could reply, Wyoming collapses. The donut she ate earlier was poisoned. Ma and Pop just broke the Guinness record for the fastest gas mask equipping in the back. Ma throws a poison gas grenade, and before Staten Island could do anything about it, Pop finishes him off with a sawed-off shotgun. Orlando tells them that they are gonna go to hell. Pop explains to him some propaganda about climate change and not believing in God. He then knocks him out. Ma turns on the vent to get rid of the gas and they start cleaning up. While cleaning up, Ma finds a wedding ring on Staten Island. She's concerned about this and tells it to Pop. He explains it to her that he is a monster and he probably used the N-word on Twitter. Also, his ancestors probably used to own slaves. They argue about white privilege for a bit, but a walkie-talkie intermission interrupts them. Ma answers and tells the woman on the radio that they got 3 of them, even naming them. She tells them that Snowball's heading towards them and be ready to greet her. Ma scares Pop that he is drinking poison. He spits out the soda, but Ma explains to him that she didn't rig the soda but it contains a lot of sugar so he shouldn't drink it. Crystal walks in and asks for a pack of cigarettes. She asks what state are they in currently. Ma gives back the change and tells her that they are in Arkansas. Crystal grabs Ma's head and smashes it on the counter. She jumps to the other side and grabs the shotgun before Pop and shoots him. She explains to Ma that cigarettes cost only $6 in Arkansas and finishes her as well. She grabs the walkie-talkie and some ammo for the shotgun, and decides to investigate the outside. She rips the fake Arkansas license plate from a pickup truck and finds a Croatian one beneath it. She also discovers a booby trap attached to the door of the car. The woman comes on the walkie-talkie again asking about Ma and Pop. She also asks Richard to check out the gas station with his drone. She hides in the forest and decides to wait it out. The drone gets shot by someone else and the radio goes silent. Gary walks over and smashes the drone to pieces. Before he could open the car, Crystal warns him not to, as the IED would blow up. They decide to follow the train tracks. Gary finally explains the Manorgate conspiracy. He says that every year the liberal elite who run the deep state, kidnap normal folks and hunt them for fun in a mansion in Vermont. She acts like a real Sigma and goes for a piss without even answering Gary. They notice a train coming and they somehow manage to get on board. They come across refugees in the train cart. Gary believes that they not real refugees, just some crisis actors. Him being a conspiracy theorist, threatens to shoot them. The train is stopped abruptly. The Croatian army raids the train and rounds them up outside. Gary explains that he has a podcast and he's been exposing the Manorgate for years. Once the soldiers walk away, one of the refugees tells Gary in perfect English that they won't believe him. He tells Gary that he is the only actor and the other refugees aren't part of this. He admits that he is part of the hunters and offers them a head start before coming after them. Gary becomes furious and tackles the guy. He stuffs a grenade into his pants which completely blows him to pieces. Crystal and the refugees get taken to a refugee camp. Dino and Boyan question her in the camp. She explains that she was in Mississippi when she got knocked out. They demand papers from her and ask whether she's hunted or not like Don. She doesn't understand the situation so they decide to bring Don in. Don is another escapee. Crystal just couldn't care less about the whole situation. Oliver, an envoy from the US Embassy, rolls in with his car and takes them. He finds their story a bit odd but believes them. He promises military support and to find the hunters. He then asks Don why have they picked him precisely. He starts rambling about that the hunters must have had some motive to choose them. Crystal had enough of his crap and kicks Oliver in the face. She pushes him out of the car. She puts the car in reverse and runs him over. Don screaming at the top of his lungs at Crystal. When they open up the trunk, they find the body of Gary in it. He then finally understands that Oliver was lying. They also find a map and some money in a box that says bribe money. Don wants to dip so he asks for the keys to the car but Crystal refuses to hand it over. She tells a story that her mom used to tell her. The classic story of the tortoise and the hare with a little morbid twist at the end. Don doesn't quite catch the moral of the story and the little pig comes out of the woods. Back in the hidden bunker, the remaining hunters are having the most politically correct discussion about the state of South and Latin America. One of them even apologizes because he said guys, gender bending everybody in the room. They are concerned because Oliver hasn't arrived yet with the remaining 2. They ask Sergeant Dale about a movie he did in the past with Bruce Willis. He tells them they hired him to consult and advises them to keep their voices down now. Athena finally tells them to shut it on the radio. Richard decides to go for a piss. He then gets ambushed by Crystal and Don. Sergeant Dale hears a branch crack and orders everybody to take their positions. Crystal and Dale drop the pig in first. Everybody freaks out and shoots a whole magazine into poor Orwell. One of the hunters gets their head blown by Crystal. She manages to kill all of the hunters with her amazing combat skills. Before finishing the female hunter, Dawn questions her about the whole event that took place. Dawn wants to spare her because she's female, but she protests that she shouldn't get a better treatment just because of this. After her statement, Crystal immediately blows her head off. Dawn totally flips on her. Athena calls out to Dawn on the radio. She says that he doesn't need to pretend anymore and orders him to kill Crystal. Dawn tries to shoot Crystal, but she's quicker on the trigger. She then questions the sergeant to get the whereabouts of Athena. After he tells her, she finishes him as well. We can see a flashback from a year ago. Athena walks into her office. Paul and Nicole are waiting for her there. He explains to her that Martin's account got hacked and they've leaked some pretty sensitive stuff like eggroll pics. Athena mentions that free speech still exists, but Paul tells her that it's bullshit. It's a business and there's no such a thing as free speech in a business. Nicole questions Athena about her texts in the group chat. She mentions the Manorgate texts. Paul tells her that there are people actually believing that her texts are real. Athena tries to explain that it was just a bad joke and nothing more. She totally flips when Paul tells her that people actually believe in this conspiracy theory. Fast forward 8 months before Manorgate. The employees who had to quit because of the group chat leak decided to make the Manorgate a real thing. They show slides about people and vote whether they want them to be killed or not. Athena as one person orders that they include Crystal. The flashback ends and Crystal manages to locate Athena in a manor. Athena orders her to put her gun in the mailbox and lets her in. She finds pictures of the participants on the wall and meets Athena in the kitchen. We can see the rare 1907 champagne in the icebox. Crystal asks Athena about herself. Athena explains Crystal's whole life story. She then reads out one of Crystal's tweets. The post contains the Manorgate conspiracy with the leaked group chat texts. Crystal finally understands that the others were killed because they said these things about Athena and her friends on the internet. Athena explains to her that it is used to be a joke, and they made it true because they asked for it. Crystal tells her that they've messed up, because they grabbed the wrong Crystal from her hometown. There's another Crystal, May Creasy, that spells May with an E. Crystal, being fed up with the ignorance, asks Athena if they can get on with it finally. They have a brawl but none of them manages to get the upper hand. Crystal almost breaks the champagne, but Athena manages to save it. She grabs a gun and goes after Crystal, but she's unable to load it. Athena grabs a knife and wounds Crystal. After they break the glass, they decide to have a little time out before continuing in the garden. They impale one another on the blades of a food processor. Once they are on the ground bleeding out, Crystal asks her why did they name her Snowball. Athena tells her that she is named after George Orwell's Animal Farm's pig. She bleeds out. Crystal notices a rabbit before dying, so she gets up, as the jackrabbit always wins at the end. She takes a bite of a toast, cauterizes her wound and takes one of Athena's dresses. She enters Athena's private jet and threatens the crew with a gun. She tells them she killed their boss and from now on they report to her. She sits down and the stewardess brings the champagne for her. She invites her to drink with her. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Thanks.